Here's the Greenlight Futures router system. Got the Greenlight router, sliding base plate, aluminum base plate, and then we have these collars to set the depth of each route. So here's a 3/4 depth, this is the 1/2 inch depth, and this is the flange. Different colors labeled. So we always have the 3/4 on the router, and that's where we start. We start with the rail fin, so slide that on. Get rid of these for now. So we'll take the jig plate and we'll put the target in there and line up these holes with your shaper's dots. Okay, now since we try to think of everything to make it easy, we have little backup holes in case you need to move the jig at any time or in case you bump into it. Just put little micro dots on the board. Hold it down, pull this out. Now we're going to insert the center jig. Now all we want to do is drop it down until it hits the collar. See, it's called plunge routing. So we're just going to let this plunge down slowly, rock back and forth. This is the proper depth. So it's one pass. So you want to start with the bit inside the collar, inside the aluminum collar. Just position it in there. Turn it on, let it plunge back and forth once. Okay, now take this out. Half-inch collar. And the flange collar. And this will provide the proper depth. That's as far out as the bit will go for the proper flange depth. We can start in the middle, and you want to go clockwise so it cuts the correct width. Okay, now before moving the jig, we want to make sure that the route is correct. So we're going to fit the box in. Just take your dummy fin, put it in, test it. Looks like it fits pretty good. On to the next one. Put my safety dots in there, just real little. You can shape those out if you want. Just scrub them later if you want. Now we're only going to use this 3/4 depth. Same thing. Make sure it's, see, I hit it. Just use those little mini dots there and there. Collets on. Remember, clockwise. Now we're only going to use, for the rear fins, all back here, we're going to use the 1/2 inch on top of the 3/4 inch. Put our flange on. Go. Good. Now the center fin. Use the 1/2 inch. Now on this one, you want to hold the router like this so we can use our fingers to just incrementally, pass this down like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. why we have the dots. So you go a little further. Level the tail of the board so the resin stays in the routed pockets, otherwise the tail rocker will make the resin come out the back. And our G-Rasp and foam sanding pad together give a perfect level. So you want to mix a 1/2 ounce of resin per fin box. So for 5 fin boxes, it's 2.5 ounces total of mixed resin. Greenlight sells epoxy dispensing caps that fit on all of our resin bottles, so you can get perfect ratios for small batches like that. Also use a digital scale. Can't go wrong with epoxy and a digital scale. Fill the center of the pockets with resin about halfway deep. It's not real critical. Just make sure you get everything covered. Now use the mixing stick or a brush to push the resin up onto the flange area and completely saturate all the flange and the walls of the routed pocket. Now insert the dummy fin into the fin box and press the box down into the cavity. You'll have resin shoot up through it, and that's good. It'll fill the holes in the fin box. And the excess, just take your squeegee and move it around onto the foam and onto the fin box, completely covering everything, trying to fill those holes in. Make sure that the holes in the flanges are filled with resin so you have less air bubbles. You laminate the board. Now take your 3/8 wide tape that you covered the fin boxes with and position it on the dummy fin. Make sure that the center fin is perpendicular, straight up and down, and taping it will help keep the fin box down while the resin cures so it doesn't float up. Now we're going to take the cant jig and check the cant angle. The rear quads should be 5 degrees, and we're using the 5-degree side of the jig right now. And minor adjustments before we tape it down.
Now double check the can angle with the jig. Make sure when you taped it, it didn't move. And then we'll move on to the front fins, same process. Front fins are 9-degree cant. There you go, let the resin cure. Now you take your 3/8 wide tape and we're going to cover the slots up so no resin gets in. You'll need a razor blade to cut the tape nice and clean. Make sure all the screws are down and just put the tape on the top section where the fin goes in and make sure you get it down nice and tight so no resin can drip in, because that's a big problem. You gotta chip it out and take some time to do this right so you don't have issues later.